All right, so get ready because we are diving deep into some seriously mind-bending stuff today. We're going to be tackling The Nature of Personal Reality by Jane Roberts. Now, this book, it's a little different. It's actually channeled material, supposedly from this entity named Seth. Now, Lus, we're not going to get into the whole debate about who or what Seth is. We're going to be focusing on the book's core ideas about how our beliefs can actually shape the reality that we experience.
Yeah, I mean, even if someone is skeptical about the source, the concepts themselves, the ideas themselves, they're just fascinating. They're really worth exploring. I mean, have you ever felt like you're just at the mercy of your
Oh,
circumstances?
absolutely.
Seth would say, hold on, not so fast. You're not just a victim of fate. You're a powerful creator.
Oh,
You create your reality through your beliefs. That's what Seth says.
so you're saying we're not just passive bystanders in our own lives. That's a pretty radical, that's a pretty empowering idea. And you know what I think is really cool about this book is that Seth uses this very vivid analogy. He says you're like an artist. You're an artist painting a picture with your thoughts and beliefs.
Hmm.
And you get to choose the colors, the composition, the whole shebang.
That's a great analogy. I love that. And just like an artist can always, change their mind, add new color, add a new brushstroke, we can shift our beliefs and create a different reality for ourselves.
Okay, I am very intrigued. But how does this actually work? Like, how do my thoughts and beliefs actually shape the world around me?
Well, it comes down to this idea of self-hypnosis. We're constantly giving ourselves suggestions, almost like internal affirmations about our health, about relationships, work, you name it. And our unconscious mind picks up on these suggestions and it starts to create a reality that actually matches them.
Whoa, wait. Okay, so hold on. So if I'm constantly telling myself I'm not good enough, my unconscious mind is going to be like, okay, here's another situation where you can prove that you're not good enough.
Yeah, it's exactly like that. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right. Okay.
But it works both ways. If you start feeding your mind more positive, empowering suggestions, you'll see a shift in your reality as well.
Okay. This is making sense. This is making sense. But I'm also thinking about all those times when I feel like I'm stuck, you know? Like I'm stuck in a rut. I'm repeating the same negative patterns over and over again. How do I break free from those deeply ingrained beliefs?
Well, Seth says that our emotions are really key here. They're like feedback mechanisms. They give us valuable information about what's going on beneath the surface.
So if I'm feeling anxious or frustrated, maybe it's a sign that I need to take a closer look at the beliefs that might be causing those feelings.
Yeah, that's a great insight. Those feelings, those are clues. They're pointing to those underlying beliefs that might be holding you back. Like, let's say you're always anxious about your finances.
Hmm.
It might be a sign that you hold this deep-seated belief that there's never going to be enough money.
And that belief, that could be manifesting as actual financial struggles in my reality.
It's definitely possible. And remember, we're talking about subconscious beliefs. These are things that might not even be conscious to you, but they're still operating behind the scenes. They're influencing your thoughts, your emotions, even your actions.
Okay, so the first step is to just become more aware of those beliefs. But how do you do that? It's like they're hiding in the
It's
shadows.
a bit of detective work. You've got to pay attention to those recurring thoughts, feelings, patterns in your life. What keeps showing up? What are you always worried about? What are your kind of default reactions in certain situations?
Okay, that's step one. Become aware. Then what? Let's say I've identified some of these limiting beliefs. How do I actually change them?
Well, Seth offers a lot of different techniques, but one of the most powerful is simply using our imaginations. Think of it as planting a seed in the garden of your mind. Visualization. Visualization is key here.
So we're talking about things like vision boards, affirmations, stuff like that.
Yeah, things like that. But it's with a deeper understanding of the principles that are at work. It's not just about wishful thinking. It's about consciously reprogramming your subconscious mind by consistently feeding it new images, new empowering suggestions.
Okay, that's starting to click for me. It's like we're creating a new blueprint for our reality based on the beliefs that we choose to cultivate. But what about those beliefs that are like so deeply ingrained, it's like they're etched in stone? Can we really change those?
Absolutely. It might take some time, it might take some effort, but it's definitely possible. It's like training a muscle. The more you practice focusing on those new empowering beliefs, the weaker the old limiting beliefs become.
So it's not about erasing those old beliefs. It's more about shifting our focus. Shifting our focus to something new, something that's more aligned with who we want to be.
Exactly. It's like turning up the volume on the radio station that's playing your favorite music,
Hmm.
while slowly turning down the volume on the station that you're just tired of hearing.
Okay, that's a great analogy. That really helps. That makes the whole process seem a little bit less daunting, for sure. So we can change our beliefs. And by doing so, we can change our reality. I mean, that's a pretty radical idea, but I'm starting to buy into it.
And you know what? That's just the tip of the iceberg. We haven't even touched on Seth's mind-bending concept of probable realities, where he suggests that every choice we make creates a different branch of reality.
Hey, hold on. Probable realities. Now we're getting into some serious, like, mind-blowing territory.
Oh, we are, we are.
All right, so are you ready to dive into the multiverse?
I am, or you?
I think so. I'm ready to have my reality shattered. Okay, so probable realities. I'm trying to wrap my head around this. Are we saying like we're living in some kind of a choose your own adventure universe?
Well, it's kind of like that, yeah. Seth's suggesting that every choice we make, even something small, like what we had for breakfast, creates a split in reality where all the possible outcomes exist.
So there's a reality where like I had a smoothie instead of toast this morning, and there's another one where I just skipped breakfast completely.
Exactly. And in each of those realities, a version of you is out there living out the consequences of that choice.
Okay, wow. That is a lot. My brain is definitely doing some gymnastics over here. But if all these possibilities exist, I mean, where does that leave us? Are we just like bouncing around randomly between all these different realities?
No, not randomly. Seth says that our beliefs, they act as a filter, and they attract certain probable realities while they're blocking others.
So if I believe like that I'm unlucky, I'm more likely to experience realities where, I don't know, I spill coffee on myself or miss my bus.
Yeah, it's like that. Think about it like tuning a radio.
Yeah.
You're constantly emitting this frequency based on your beliefs.
Yeah.
And that frequency, it's attracting similar frequencies from this like vast sea of probable realities.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this connects back to that idea of like we create our own reality. But it's still kind of mind-blowing to think about. Like all these other me's out there experiencing these different realities, are they like totally separate from me or is there some sort of connection?
That's a great question. And Seth uses this really interesting analogy. He compares our probable selves to cells in a body. Like each cell, it has its own function, but they're all contributing to the overall health and well-being of the entire organism.
So even though those other versions of me, they're experiencing all these different realities, they're still like a part of me in some fundamental way.
Yeah, that's right. They're like facets of your larger self. Each one's exploring a different aspect of your potential.
Whoa, that is a profound thought. But is there any way to like access those other realities, to connect with those other versions of ourselves?
Well, Seth suggests that it happens all the time, often very spontaneously in dreams. Have you ever had a dream that just felt incredibly real, like you'd actually lived another life?
Oh, yeah, all the time. I mean, sometimes those dreams are so vivid, they stay with me for days.
Are you saying like those could be glimpses into other probable realities?
It's possible. It's definitely possible. I mean, think of dreams as this bridge
Hmm.
between your conscious mind and that vast realm of the subconscious where all those probable realities exist.
So maybe those dreams, they aren't just like random firings of neurons. Maybe they're showing us different paths we could have taken, different
Yeah,
choices that we could have made. It's like getting a sneak peek behind the curtain of reality.
that's a great way to put it. And you know, the important thing to remember, we're not just passive observers in this grand cosmic play. We actually have the power to choose. We have the power to choose which realities we want to experience. Okay, but how do we choose? I mean, if there's infinite possibilities, how do we even know which one to focus on?
Well, Seth really emphasizes the importance of our feelings. Remember, emotions, those are feedback mechanisms.
Hmm.
They tell us what's resonating with us. They tell us what's in alignment with our true desires.
Okay, so if I'm feeling excited about something, energized, that's a good sign. But if I'm feeling dread or resistance, maybe it's a sign that I need to reconsider.
Exactly. It's like your inner compass is guiding you towards those realities that are most aligned with your highest good. Trust your gut feelings. That's what Seth would say.
This is blowing my mind wide open. It's like we have so much more power and choice than we even realize. But I also feel a little bit overwhelmed by it all, you know? Isn't there a danger of like getting lost in all these possibilities, constantly second guessing myself, wondering what if?
That's a valid concern. And that's why Seth really emphasizes this balance. You got to balance this expansive awareness with a grounded presence. In your current reality,
So it's not about like rejecting this reality. in favor of some like idealized version. It's about using this understanding of probable realities
Yeah.
to empower us here and now.
Exactly. It's about recognizing
Yeah.
that we're constantly creating a reality, even if we're not doing it consciously. And once we become aware of that power, we can start making more deliberate choices.
Okay, so instead of feeling paralyzed by all the what ifs, we can use this knowledge to make choices that are more aligned with like who we really want to be, but how do we make sure that we're not just like chasing some fantasy, some like idealized version of ourselves?
That's where Seth's concept of natural guilt and grace comes in.
Uh,
It's a little complex, but it's incredibly valuable for understanding how to make choices that are truly in alignment with our true nature.
okay, natural guilt and grace. I gotta be honest, I'm not sure I fully get it. It sounds kind of religious, but you're saying it's not about the kind of guilt we're taught by like society or religion.
No, no, not at all. It's not about feeling bad about yourself or your actions. Seth describes natural guilt as it's this innate sense of interconnectedness. It's like a deep knowing that we're all part of something much larger than ourselves.
So it's more like a feeling of responsibility, like understanding that our actions have an impact on the whole.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And when our actions aren't in alignment with that sense of interconnectedness, we feel a pang of natural guilt. It's like a signal, a nudge, to course correct, to bring ourselves back into balance.
That makes sense. Like, you know, that feeling you get when you see someone being mistreated and you have this instinct to step in, to do something to help.
Exactly. It's like that. And Seth says that this natural guilt, it often gets distorted by societal conditioning.
Hmm.
We learn to feel guilty about things that are actually perfectly natural,
Like what?
like expressing our emotions, setting boundaries, or pursuing our dreams even.
So we end up feeling guilty about like just being ourselves.
It happens a lot.
Okay, that's kind of messed up. But what about natural grace? How does that fit in?
Well, think of natural grace as the antidote to that distorting guilt. It's a sense of inherent worthiness. It's like this deep knowing that we're all deserving of love and abundance, regardless of our actions or our achievements.
So it's like an inner knowing that we're good enough, just as we are.
Exactly. And when we can tap into that natural grace, we start making choices from a place of self-love and compassion, rather than fear or lack.
So, if we're trying to create a new reality for ourselves, it sounds like it's important to kind of check in with those feelings of natural guilt and grace to make sure that we're making choices that are, aligned with our true selves and the well being of the whole.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. It's like having this internal compass, you know,
Yeah.
that helps you navigate this vast landscape of probable realities.
Wow, this is a lot to absorb for sure. But it's also incredibly empowering. It's like if we can learn to master these concepts, our beliefs, our emotions, probable realities, natural guilt and grace, it's like we become the architects of our own destiny.
That's exactly what Seth is saying. And remember, it's not about achieving some perfect reality. It's about the journey of self-discovery, learning to tap into your inherent power, to create a life that feels joyful, fulfilling, and aligned with your true nature.
That's a beautiful way to put it. So, for our listeners out there who are maybe just starting to explore these ideas, what would you say is the most important thing to remember?
Pay attention to your feelings, your emotions, they're your guide. If something feels expansive, if it feels exciting, lean into it. If something feels constricted or draining, maybe it's time to reevaluate.
And remember, we all have the power to choose. We can choose our thoughts, our beliefs, and ultimately, the reality that we
That's
experience.
right. You are the artist of your own life. So
Yeah.
what will you create?
Wow, this has been an incredible deep dive. I know I'm walking away with a lot to think about and a renewed sense of possibility for sure. Thanks for joining us on this exploration of the nature of personal reality. We hope it sparked something within you, a sense of wonder, a desire to explore the incredible power that lies within each and every one of us.